Sebastian and Maribel first met at a bookshop in Denver, Colorado, that they both used to go to every weekend. They were part of the Writers Club there and often published work of their own that the shop advertised. Over the months that they had been visiting the shop, they got to know each other. Although not too close, they had a cordial relationship. Sebastian lived on his own. He recently moved into a new apartment. Maribel, too, was a single young woman. She lived in the same neighborhood, and people knew her as a kind and loving person. It was right after Sebastian moved into his new apartment that he accidentally broke his arm. When Maribel heard of the news, she rushed to his assistance. She came to meet him every day and see if he was doing well. "Isn't it a hazard coming to meet me every day? Why do you do this? You have work, college. You have a life of your own, and you still waste time coming to check up on me?" "Why would it be a waste of time? You're my friend, and I never turn my back on my friends." It was a whole month before Sebastian had recovered from his broken arm. Maribel had been the one to take care of him, and in the process of the numerous visits, the kind gestures, and the countless calls to reassure everything was fine, Sebastian ended up developing feelings for Maribel. It wasn't long after that Sebastian asked Maribel to a date, and so their loving, caring relationship began. If there was one person Sebastian could rely upon, no matter be it with what or when, no matter how difficult or easy, no matter whatever it may be, it was Maribel. That's why he proposed to her. And Maribel gladly accepted, and the engagement followed soon after. Sebastian and Maribel recently got engaged. After their engagement, things didn't prove to be any different than they were before. They had been living together for some months now. The past year had been a year of Sebastian's life that could be labeled as the worst and yet the best at the same time. Maribel was always there to support Sebastian. She was there when he needed someone to share his sorrows with. And she was there to make him laugh. The beginning of their relationship was nothing but bliss. Until suddenly, Sebastian fell sick again. This time, he broke his leg, and he just couldn't explain how he had become so clumsy lately. He had been having a numb feeling in his leg for quite a few days, and still had been walking on it, until he slipped and fell down the stairs of his apartment building. Maribel was, of course, running down the stairs to help Sebastian. It was weeks before Sebastian could walk again. Maribel was the one to make his food, bring everything to him, drive him to the doctor, and make him forget the moments of intense pain he felt. Maribel and Sebastian not only fell in love, but they became intertwined in each other's life. Sebastian trusted her, and soon enough, he started to confide in her. And Maribel was always loyal to him. Maribel never judged him, wrong or right. She never spoke a word in disagreement to him, even though sometimes her face ended up speaking volumes more. Maribel was very understanding, and nothing could explain how mature she had been about the relationship. It was at this point that Sebastian asked Maribel to move in with him. Things were much easier now that Maribel was always by his side. But a few weeks after his last recovery, he started to feel a pinch in his back that slowly turned into an unbearable pain. He went to the doctor, who told him he had fractured his spine and would need to be in bed rest for at least a month. Sebastian started to feel something wasn't right. I mean, how could this be? This was the third time in a row that he had somehow managed to injure himself. He started to question if someone or something was involved in this, but even that seemed ridiculous. He tried to ponder about the last few times he got injured. It was all after he moved into this apartment. As a matter of fact, last month, while he was home on the weekends, He found a box of creepy candles, herbs, mixtures, and spooky tarot cards stuffed up in the corner of one of the storage closets that he had never happened to clean out since he moved in. "Maribel, what in the world are these?" "Maybe the previous tenants left them behind." "I should really clean out the apartment. I wonder what else they left behind." "You won't be doing anything. Give that to me. If anything needs to be cleaned out, I'll do it. You just go back to rest. You shouldn't be walking on that leg." Sebastian started to wonder if there was something about the apartment he didn't know. There was no way Maribel was letting him leave the apartment in this state. So Sebastian searched the net. He found nothing on the address. He called up his neighbors, who also didn't say anything suspicious about the previous tenants. But then again, they moved in around the time he did. Lastly, he called up the supervisor, who told him the previous tenants were an old couple. As far as I remember, I found the previous tenants a bit peculiar. I could tell that they were foreign from their exotic clothes and the language they spoke. I couldn't understand them. But yes, there was something about them that bothered not just me, but almost all the other tenants that lived by them. They would often make strange noises, like ringing bells. Sometimes tenants would complain about the smoke seeping out from under their door in the middle of the night or early in the morning, accompanied with smells of strange perfumes and scents. All I can say is that they were an odd couple. The tarot cards did have foreign symbols he didn't understand. Maribel was right. Perhaps it did belong to the previous tenants. Sebastian had an eerie feeling that something was lurking in his apartment. As soon as Sebastian recovered, he decided to visit a spiritual guide who could probably tell him a little about what was happening to him and probably give him a solution if there was something wrong in his apartment. But when he went to search for the tarot cards, he couldn't find them anymore. "I threw them away. What did you expect me to do with it? And why do you need them? You don't believe in these things, do you?" No, of course not." But Sebastian was lying. He didn't believe in anything for sure, but he had numerous doubts and suspicions, and a bit of curiosity was running through his mind. Sebastian decided to visit the spiritual guide anyway. "By the way things seem, I can sense an entity is trying to harm you, perhaps for benefit or for loss. You seem to be helpless in this affair, but I can provide you with a solution, a potion that will rid your home of all evil and protect you for the years to come. Sprinkle this around your home once every night and sleep in peace and harmony." The spiritual guide handed him a bottle of clear liquid. "What is this?" "Blessed water." Sebastian brought the bottle home. That night, when he went around the house sprinkling the contents, Maribel stood there folding her arms with an estranged look on her face. "What are you doing, Sebastian? Have you gone crazy? I thought you didn't believe in these things." "Listen, Maribel, I don't, but it wouldn't hurt to try. And you've seen everything with your own eyes. The things that have been happening to me ever since I moved into this apartment. Don't you feel something's wrong?" "Hand that to me. I'm throwing this away. We don't need any hocus pocus in this house. You will only get better with love and care. I'm here for you, am I not?" "Yes, you're right. I'm sorry, Maribel. Perhaps I've been stressing too much lately." But sure enough, the next month, Sebastian fell awfully sick. His head hurt tremendously. He couldn't focus on anything. When things went on like this, Sebastian considered visiting the psychic again, or using the concoction that she gave him. Maribel immediately intervened. "Again with all the nonsense. You know what, Sebastian? You need some time off. How about we go hiking? A few days in the fresh air of the mountains, you'll be fine. It will help you recover, and besides, it will be just you and me." Sebastian agreed. Perhaps it would clear his mind, and at the moment, all he wanted to do was get out of this apartment. Maribel always knew what was right for him. The next week, Sebastian and Maribel packed their bags and began their travel to Mount Shasta. The trail they chose would take 2 days to complete. As soon as Sebastian left the apartment, he felt a sense of relief. The cool air of the mountains made him feel like he was almost better. And more than that, he was confirmed that there was something in the apartment. He didn't mention anything to Maribel, knowing she'd probably think he was going crazy. Sebastian felt a piercing pain in his leg. He didn't have a cut nor a bruise. He didn't fall down. He couldn't understand how this was happening to him again. Sebastian and Maribel were to camp midway down the trail, and by the time they reached there, it was dark. Sebastian pulled through the pain and set up the tent and built a fire. He didn't want to ruin the occasion for Maribel. She seemed to be having fun. Sebastian and Maribel sat down by the fire. They warmed up their hands and threw dry twigs and branches into the pile. As the night grew darker and it was time to head inside the tent, Maribel went out to answer the call of nature. Sebastian was sitting all alone waiting for her. The pinching pain in his leg was still hurting him tremendously. He stretched out his limbs, when suddenly his leg tilted over something. Maribel's bag lay on the ground. Some of her things fell out. Sebastian hurried to pick them up when he noticed something odd inside. He took out a doll. It wore sewn-together pieces of what seemed to be his shirt. He felt the hair on its head. It was his own glued onto the doll's head. Sebastian was horrified. Was this a voodoo doll of him? Suddenly, he felt something prick his hand. He turned the doll around. There on its leg was a pin pricked in it. Sebastian couldn't believe his eyes. Had Maribel been the cause of all his misery? She had been doing this to him? There was nothing wrong with the apartment. Now that he thought about it, it all happened ever since he met her. But why? How? She had always been there for him. She had always cared for him. Just then, Sebastian heard footsteps. He looked up to see Maribel staring at him. In her hands, a heavy wooden log, a wickedness in her eyes that he had never seen before. I think it's time for you to take a little nap, Sebastian. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.